I think I'm live. We'll find out. Well, I think we're live. Let's see. Are we? I could record it both ways. I think I'm live. All right, find out. Live because I'm hearing myself back. It's drmike.org. And let's see. So I could record it both ways. There we go. All right, I just had to double check. So I'm back in my Hartland house, actually my ex-Hartland house, because my ex still lives here and I gave her the house. Very generous. I've talked about it before, when I'm divorced, there's my daughter just texting in. She's in college at Marquette saying hello. And I got other notifications. In 2 hours, I pick up my 16-year-old and we're going to go practice driving because she has a test. All this happening today, and I just got back. Really, yesterday was my first day back after being in Florida for over a week, which was really great. When I left, it was Arctic temperature and cold in Florida, and it's going to reach 60. So this is the last of the snow for this part. Let me just unplug real quick. Excuse me, guys, just for the impromptu thing, but I want to go outside. Not quite warm enough to sit out there, but it's getting to be. So we will be practicing driving with Ellen, and I go also back to her school yesterday. So it was a good trip. I attended the Soulful Leadership Conference in Orlando, and then I drove up to Jacksonville and made some new contacts. I like Florida. It had been a little while since I've been down there. I used to go down quite a bit back when I was promoting Tony's seminars because we had two or three, sometimes within a year, different cities. So I'm back in Hartland for a bit, and then still early in the new year. It's kind of like last year where I was in New York at this time, and the weather was warm and causing all sorts of commotion and trouble. So what I want to talk about today is just sort of some of the leads I got at Soulful Leadership, which is a great event. Um, and can't say enough about Mark and Renee's work. I just met them. I joined their Meta Mastermind, and I want to talk about my project with the Friendship Fellowship and how we can all participate in uplifting humanity through conscious community conversations and other means and ways that we can leave a long-lasting legacy in such a way that our soft footprint that we leave on for generations to come is something that really would be of meaning, value, and really of purpose. So I want to just talk quickly about my experience, meeting some, these are the cards people filled out after I spoke a little bit. And these were all helpful hints. I'm sure there's some compliments in here. I read through really quickly when I got the cards. So people in the audience would fill them out if they wanted to participate. And it was like a 1 minute pitch that I gave about the Friendship Fellowship. So if you don't know about that, we are in an epidemic of loneliness, polarization, separation, not just in the United States, but around the world, but particularly here. There's a deficit of attention to these critical, you could say, factors that are going to influence where we're going as a society in the future. And because I have kids, and maybe you do too, and you're concerned about the future and what kind of planet we're leaving our kids, this has become my work as a self-proclaimed social scientist. I have a PhD sort of in social psychology, higher education. How is it that we can communicate and relay some ideas that reinvigorates friendship and fellowship in a way that we can get along better, but also support each other, check in with each other. And so that's what it's about, friendshipfellowship.com. And the very positive, friendly comments I got from the group in this mastermind context would be how we can leverage these ideas, and other people would have their own goals. However, we would look through our community how to contribute to the greater good and how we can collaborate and work together. And this includes also my connection with Corey, which I'll talk about in the future. Won't name drop people in particular. But I do see, though, I'm attracting a lot of interesting people. And why I decided to do the live was to talk about these different projects really quickly, but also talk about people who get the invite. People are desiring change. And here's an opportunity to create really an electric network per se. Maybe I'll close this because maybe the lighting will be better. There we go. Is that better? A little bit, right? You're just jumping in the live stream on drmike.org. Self-proclaimed social scientist. It's drmike.org. So drmike.org. And yeah, still got to work on some of what my avatar look is going to be. So I got to tell you that in the components of a friendship fellowship, some people look at the fellowship side I look at it as academic because I look at this as a care study, community action research on engagement and sustainability. So how we can come together. I like it open. Sorry, guys. Let the light come in. And in my talks with different people driving around Florida, I was on an empty tank of gas and really about an hour outside of Orlando. I thought I'd make it closer, and I wasn't seen on this stretch of road because everything is if you know Florida, you're driving around the expressways, you're paying tolls every so many feet, and so there wasn't any gas stations. So I got off the road thinking there's got to be something in the small town somewhere, but I don't see any gas stations. And I come across a guy who's walking around in a sweatshirt like mine, and talking to other people. So he came over to the car and was very friendly. He said, just go up the street that way. And so I asked him, what do you do? Because that's me, right? I'm always connecting and wanting to know what you're about, what's your story. And he was on the past year. So I just gave him my World Clergy Project card. So we have worldclergy.com, which would support the Friendship Fellowship. So on this level, I see it academically, and we're studying acts of community in the way that we could support each other on levels of engagement, which would be friendship and community contribution. He's looking at it spiritually and he's going, yeah, it's fellowship. We need more of that, And he was a street preacher and he was helping these two homeless people. And I was going to bring back for my kids this heart-shaped chocolate for Valentine's Day. Little did I know on my way to the Orlando, my flight was going to be canceled. I was at the airport and would have boarded, but just minutes before they canceled. So I didn't know that, but I just thought, I'm going to get this because as I was holding this up, part of the project is the Love Tithe. Can you guys read that? Lovetithe.com. Love Tithe, which will be supporting these different community projects and different variations of the tithe. If you believe in that, giving back and supporting the work in some capacity where you feel you're meeting your spiritual obligations and wanting to give, right? And so he got very excited by this box of chocolate. He immediately gave it to the couple. So can I give it to the homeless couple? I go, yeah, absolutely. Just because, he was telling me where I can get gas and I made it just in time to fill my tank and be on my way. And we texted each other later. So we'll do a podcast or something, but that's how random it was. And, the trip, despite different challenges and me staying longer and, all other stuff that was going on, because the flight canceled and all that, I made it back in time to be at the house because I'm here because the ex had to go on a business trip and I have to watch my 16-year-old. And so, yeah, it's great. So the getting back to the idea here. So in meeting a number of different people are always excited about the possibility of, I guess, I think of it as acceleration. I look at it being excellent, like being at your potential. If you know my background and work in motivation seminars, that's I used to be a promoter for these authors and speakers and influencers. Still am in as a PR strategist, looking at how to get the word out and helping to make this community contribution viable on an exponential scale. And I talk about, if you don't know my work, you can go to drmike.org or my podcast, mikesmastermind.com. Enough plugs. The idea here, and there are no hair plugs, just my natural hair. The idea here in finding ways in which we can plug into each other to accelerate this progress. I mean, a lot of people who have a lot of talent, they get very excited. And as a connector, I want to connect them with other people. It's always amazing to me that given the opportunity, and these people that I'm talking about, maybe have made some traction in the influencer world. They might be a micro influencer or they have a book idea. They just haven't networked or put it together in the right capacity to have the breakthrough they want. So I offer, like, with permission and being invited into the conversation, because I don't interject. I mean, I might hint at something and just tap on the shoulder, hey, but if I'm not recognized or accepted, that I might have something to say or contribute, I don't push it because I don't go around not wanted. Well, if there's an intervention needed, that could be a different story, right? It's like, hey, this is an emergency, or hey, it's like time's up, bud, or almost. And so it's interesting to me there were people will lead you on because either they want to sell you a product or they just want to suck off your energy, right? I call it the tie, time, interest, and energy tie, or it could be a positive and a karma-free tie. People look at it like, I'm just going to kill some time, you know? And they might talk about what intrigues them, but it's not necessarily anything that's going to engage you on a level of enlightenment and really make a difference. But they're going to get their piece said and their ego is going to get inflated for a few minutes and at your expense because you got work to do and you're on a mission and you have a vision, you have purpose, but someone's going to detract you because they've got their story and they got to share that story. You've heard it before, they've told it over and over again, but one more time. And you want to be polite and engaging and loving as you can. And you wonder, it's like, well, you've given this invitation opportunity for them to show up at this webinar, and they could have met like a Tony Robbins or Deepak or somebody who's on the registrar of acceptability at a high scale, not conflict or confusion. And there's an opportunity to meet that book agent to introduce them to a publisher or a job interview or some kind of task because they want to be an influencer and there's an advertiser that wants to sponsor somebody just like them and they don't make the call. That's why I do these influencer auditions because if you auditioned and you can share your stuff like America's Got Talent or something, you pass the bar to get in, you pass the bar, or pass it on. The talking stick, you show something that's of value and a dynamic that you care enough to show up. And so I've learned over the years where I want to make these introductions, you have to sort of filter it through a little bit more because before I can get you on the Today Show and you don't show up, doesn't that hurt my reputation? It's like, hey, you told me this guy was great and they weren't, and they didn't even show up. So it's sort of like, God, it's like you have the opportunity to really show your stuff, but the person wasn't ready. And how were they weren't ready? Well, one is to respect things. If you give your word, you do it. And out of care, at least acknowledgement. Thank you for the introduction. That was really great advice. I thought about what you said. Maybe you disagree with it, but you acknowledge something and you follow up. Hey, it was great meeting you at this event, and I'd like to continue this. So that's why I want to start doing Mondays again. So Mondays.org, like drmike.org, where Mondays become sort of like an organization in itself. At least we can weekly meet, and maybe you are a coach. You're looking to get goals coaching or something. Then we could have breakout rooms, and you could talk about what you do. So at least it'd be a weekly check-in and a great way to kick off the week. So you would have some kind of support each week. And maybe you get that on Sunday at church or Saturday at a synagogue or whatever it would be. If you have a club meeting during the week, that's fine. Well, this would be just one way for us to do it globally. I'm just thinking that. And again, it's always a question of who shows up. Now, sometimes you're oversleep, you're not in the mood, you forgot, you just forgot. And then you would follow up again and going, hey, I really value this opportunity and I forgot, I missed it. And can I get a second chance? I'm like that. I'm such a sucker for that. It's like you give you a second, even a third chance, like three times at bat. You strike out, well, all right, as long as you still got, the inning going, there's still a chance to win the game. And maybe you'll hit a grand slam the next time around, right? Hit a home run. I don't want to talk stupid speak because people around the world go, we're talking about baseball. It's like, oh, but you don't play baseball in your culture. Just like maybe what we call football is soccer for you. So anyway, getting back to this point is like I spend a lot of time and I look like an investment. It's like fishing. And I probably easily talk to 100 people in a given period of time. If I was really determined on you could say tele outreach and social media and posting online, that would be really in a day. And maybe with automation and AI, that could be done. But I'm talking about one-on-one engagement because I go to a lot of events and I'm a networker. I try to meet everybody I can and just find out how you're doing. I'm not looking to sell you anything because really it's just me being curious as a social scientist and looking at ways to engage and hoping to find patterns that could be observed that can be utilized in a way that helps the person who's looking to engage enlightenment or at least achieve their goals or their own life operation on a higher, not on a higher level, but more fulfilling level, where the contribution becomes more MVP, meaningful, valuable, and purposeful. That's my work, right? And to help. So hopefully, whatever contribution I do make, and just checking in with someone, saying hello through this friendship fellowship model, friendshipfellowship.com, that helps enlighten and uplift. So if you see my eyes going darting down, it's because even though I'm on the Zoom right now, I can't necessarily comment back because people would see that on the live stream, but they're not able to read who I'm typing back to. So I'm just going to give everyone a quick hello. I'm not seeing you because I'm on the Zoom. I'm not on the YouTube because otherwise I just get feedback. I just want to acknowledge it because I see some pop-ups there. But thank you. And you can get in touch with me at drmike.org. And if you give me your email in return and a question or whatever, I'll get back to you. So I just want to say that, out of the 100 people, out of that percentage, it really is a 1%er type thing, where that 1% I really see, and maybe it's 10% that actually get some benefit, and over time, it leverages and builds up for them to where they break out of the rut, or they're able to achieve the next rung, or it's a rocket launch, and they're really successful. But it tends to be 1%. I would say that number tends to average out. It's not to say the 1% or the elite. I'm just talking about in general. I might out of the 100 have 30 in a collective, like a classroom size, 30, 33. It's always about the third that are at least in the consideration phase. So if you think about it, so if you're making, let's say, calls or introductions, out of 10, even though, and it could be also you being able to elaborate and have that quote unquote elevator pitch that's going to elevate them and feel like they're going to be of interest. But it might not be their cup of tea, right? In other words, I'm saying what you might say might be of interesting, but not really where they're going to participate. And maybe whatever else is going on in their mind, they're not thinking in your best interest, like, oh, I need to introduce you to Joe or Joanne, because she's exactly talking about what you're talking about, has the same concerns about community and how we need to change the world. We ought to all have that, right? But maybe the way you come off, right? And who knows what those dimensions are. And I write about this in cringefactors.com, CRINGE factors.com, because it comes filtered through to class, consumption, race, income level, perception of individuality and self-worth, and nationality, gender perceptions, and what economic status or ethnicity. And again, also filtered through age and religion, all these different barriers, political affiliation. I mean, oh my God, it's sort of like you got to break free. And I write about this in IGO too. So I'm waking up from the mass trance. If you don't know what IGO is, it's the projection of the selfie of the mind. Never been named before. Interesting, the self imagining the self. So igoism.com, igoism.com, or igoresearch.com. Hey, this guy's got a lot of domains. These are book ideas I want to pitch. Anyway, getting back to this because I want to get back to these people and be responsible myself and, be the walking, talking guys like, hey, he walks his talk and get outside, and maybe do a live stream out there. I just say I'm so happy being back. This is sort of the first full day back in the old house, which is kind of weird being back. It's a big house. It's warming up. Premature spring, middle of February in Wisconsin. However, I'm grateful and appreciative of this opportunity and looking for myself to have a breakthrough, that it's important to have the right group. And so I'm thinking maybe the 12 or 24 model, 12 males, 12 females, whatever between, would help in creating that either the Mondays model, friendship, fellowship, core membership, or coaching, that visionary board, like a mastermind, something that's going to be a composite of that 1%, but times 12 that comes together. So we're all supporting each other and taking it to that next level. I think it's crucial. So it would be me supporting you in your goals and us as a group in the traditional mastermind type setting. We would probably call these mastery circles because the circles could then evolve and duplicate and would be something that we could maximize in supporting each other. And these were like, something that you could see traditionally found in tribal societies, where the elders meet. Could be a sweat lodge or, special type, town hall type meeting, or where I work in community conversations, communityconversations.com. The emphasis again on creating community, looking at the best ways to contribute to it, to examine the consciousness of how we're showing up in community and how we can elevate again our engagement level with each other. So we're getting out of our stuck stories and really looking at resolving or solving important, vital social issues and being able to tackle um, those challenges that we're all facing as a society now. So again, if you are given an invite and an opportunity and it appeals to you, take it seriously, because at some point, and I tell this to the influencers that I'm working with, I say, if you have anchors that there's positive anchors where you can anchor into something that's really great, and you have negative anchors, right, where people every time they kind of piss you off or they trigger you. So either you got to change the trigger or stop hanging out with people. Jim Rohn, who was Tony Robbins' teacher, and I had lunch with him a couple times back in the day. It was really amazing because it was by chance. We're in the same city, same time, and then I was here. Why don't you come to lunch? Sure. Great stories. But anyway, he would always say, I could tell the self-worth, but also monetary worth of basically 5 or 6 people you hang out the most or engage with. So if these people are negative anchors, they're psychic vampiring and if they're causing you to wait, they don't respond to your texts. It takes a long time for them to email. Now, it could be excuses like I was on vacation traveling, and so I was trying to get back to people, but sometimes I was way out in the outback, swampland, and there was no internet. I was kind of surprised. The alligators were like, like they were texting, but no, I'm kidding. But the idea, though, is that hey, as long as you respect and get back to people, if there was something that you missed an opportunity, you were supposed to be on a webinar, or you were supposed to get in contact with that person, or you didn't meet a deadline in submitting a report, or being whatever it is, it's a responsibility thing and the ability to accentuate, to accelerate the progress, right? In the dimension in which we're functioning. You got to let those people go. I can again, swing and a miss, 3 times, it's a strikeout, and then 3 times I think that's it. You know what I mean? So I look at maybe if you're looking at that as a marker, probably 9 engagements to where I've talked to you, emailed you, I shared documents with you. And if you didn't take the time to even look them over, and we're not talking about like in the next hour, you had days or weeks, and you're wanting my time to help you on your project. And I think, there's potential collaboration possibilities, but you're not even showing up for the calls, not responding. You didn't take the time to read or to consider whatever it was that was offered. You don't respond to text timely. And I know if it was like the president of the United States, I'm not saying this one or the next one or whatever it would be, if there would be one, or a company CEO or something like that, you'd be instant. But for some reason, people like to play the games like, oh, I'll respond later to this. Now, I'm not on my phone a whole lot. Yet if I hear my thing, like after I do this live stream, I got like 2 or 3 texts just came in on LinkedIn. I can see from my phone. Proof. There's my daughter there. Anyway, I changed the thing, but just you heard the 3 bings. So I'll get back to it immediately. I'll reply as quick as I can. Obviously, I'm on a podcast. I don't appreciate getting a call. Text me first. And unless you're supposed to be on the podcast, then you got to call the special number or on a webinar. Those are all great things. And we all have great ideas. I want to support you where you're at because I know your community contribution can be great. It's just like take the opportunity seriously. Stop playing these ego mind games. It's like, oh, I'll be elegantly late. No, if you're getting on the Today Show, and they start shooting at a certain time. You're supposed to be in that seat. You get there early. You go to the green room. You prep for makeup. All that stuff has to be done. And you make sure your press kit was delivered. Of course, you have me as someone as a PR agent. That'll be sure, but you got to show up, especially if you have to be somewhere in person. This fashionably late or stuff is like these prima donnas out there. Like, well, make sure they have Evian water in the room. It's like, oh my God. It's like I get to choose who I work with. It's not like, it's like, oh, I'm going to pay you to do this. It's like, no, you could hire me as a coach, but only if I want to work with you. You have to be coachable. I'm sorry, I have that privilege. I want to help everyone as I can. I give a lot of but 80% of my time I give is free. Almost really 100% if you think about it, because it's just sort of the universe paying it to do. So for you, that you have an opportunity to work with some really amazing people. And so I count that as a blessing, really, truly, and figure it's a gift, the present moment and how you show up. So if I get less back, I might overlook it the first time, maybe person because they're, bad cycle, bad timing, they're in a mood situation. But if I see that repeatedly over, it's like, do I want to deal with that? No way. I'm not your babysitter. I have no interest in working or hearing crap. I don't want to work through your shit. I'm sorry, I don't hardly swear, but that's sort of like it's like it. So I got to deal with my stuff here. I got to go back to stuff. But I'm just sharing. It's like, well, that was what was on my mind because there were some things happening Monday morning. It's the kickoff of the week. I'm back. We all have to get in action. And I know coming back from a trip, you might need a couple of days to sort of just, settle back in, particularly since my trip was extended. And yet we have to get in some kind of routine or what I call a success schedule. It's going to allow you to achieve the goals that you want in a timely fashion. They become SMART goals, but smarter is the best way to go. So if any of this resonates with you, get back to me at drmike.org. Otherwise, the friendshipfellowship.com concept is something I really want to initiate by spring into action, right? March 4th. So let's come together on these ideas, communityconversations.com. And really, there's a few different things that we can all engage in. And if you're clergy, worldclergy.com.org. And let's find ways in which we can collaborate. And it's not about me, or, accelerating some kind of ego identity that you're going to win, some recognition for. Nothing wrong with that. It's just saying that, if that's your primary impetus, it's like, to me, it's delivery on quality contribution, right? And it could be in the form of content through social media, or in the way that you show up and support community through causes or charity. So let's find ways in which we can support each other. And the love type to me is really what's going to be engaging. Given that it was just Valentine's Day, this was my pitch for it. I think it's going to be an amazing project. I think globally in the next decade, just like friendshipfellowship.com, communityconversations.com, when these ideas gel and come together and they have you at the level to where you can maximize your conscious contribution to it, it just explodes. It accelerates to the level it needs to be. And things take time, and I understand there's a growth process. And you know, we need to accommodate so people feel, that they are comfortable in the sense that they're willing to engage it. I want people who are sort of like, oh, what can I do? What can I really help to make this happen? And that's what I'm looking for. All right, thanks again so much, and all the best to everybody. I'm going to end this live stream. I'll see if there's actually, I'll go back on the YouTube if there are any particular questions. And thank you. We really had a